What is up, everybody? My name is Aaron Knoll, and welcome back to another episode of After Dark. This is the weekly show where we come at you every single week with poor lighting, and we discuss all the latest in the world of movies and movie news. Last week, if you guys were here, we went over in spoilers both the end of Loki and the end of Black Widow, meaning we have about 2 weeks worth of news to catch up on. So it's going to be a very news-heavy night. And with me, I have some great people. Up first, obviously, he runs the channel, Mr. Matt Beard.
How we doing, everybody? Currently making fun of Lakers fans because they think they can get Russell Westbrook for a couple bag of Skittles because they have nothing.
All right, and ignore the formatting change for a second, but we are joined by Mr. Nicky Sullivan. How's it going, man?
Hi.
Hi.
All right, and with some of our regulars who have kind of been turning in and out the last couple of weeks weren't available tonight, and so I decided to put up a post on the Facebook page, take the opportunity, and bring on some people who may not have ever been on the show or haven't been on in a while, so they are with us as well. We have, in order of who's in front of me at least, Mr. Jordan Owens. What's up, man?
Yeah, I can't wait to be the Cousin Oliver and get this show canceled. What's up?
No, that's a different show on this channel.
Yeah, that's on Tuesdays.
Joining us is Mr. Richie Goodacre. How's it going?
Yeah, good man. Good to be here. Excited to talk news.
And Mr. Jacob Barber.
How's it going? I am playing 2K and I just traded Russell Westbrook to the Lakers.
See, I can believe that because that can only happen in a video game.
You'd be shocked, man. As somebody who plays FIFA, those transfers are weirdly predictive, man. Like, there are transfers with that game where you'd be like, that shit had never happened in real life. And then 2 years later, that transfer really happened. And it's like, oh, no, they're just fucking predicting shit. Okay. They're like, it's FIFA and The Simpsons. It's just one is predicting it on a world scale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
FIFA did it.
So with that, let's go ahead and get into it. And I'm not going to kill any time. Let's get into the first set of stories, which before we get to the big geek stuff, the Marvel and the DC, let's throw out some other fun stories that might be cool to talk about. The weekend box office last weekend was a bit of a shock to blockbuster fans. Marvel's Black Widow suffered a 67% drop from week 1 to week 2, which is a near record-setting number for a blockbuster of this size. This was shocking both to audiences and to theaters, so much so that it led to NATO, the National Association of Theater Owners, not that other NATO, in releasing a statement condemning Disney and Disney Plus for its release model. They believe that despite the high sales on Disney Plus, what really played a part in the box office drop was pirating, as the film was so easily accessible but at such a high price point that it was bound to be pirated by people wanting to view it more than once. With that said, including Black Widow's drop, the top 5 at the box office this week were The Boss Baby Family Business, which earned $4.7 million in its 3rd week, F9 The Fast Saga, which earned another $7.7 million in its 4th week, Escape Room Tournament of Champions, which debuted in 3rd place with $8.8 million, Black Widow, which fell to 2nd place at $25.8 million in its 2nd week, and Space Jam: A New Legacy, which debuted at number 1 with $31.1 million at the box office. A couple of reports came out this week revealing and expanding on the John Wick world. First off, courtesy of Deadline, John Wick Chapter 4 has added 2 more co-stars to its film. Ian McShane has finally been confirmed to return as Winston, though many assumed he would be back based on where he left off in Chapter 3. His name had never actually officially been mentioned until this week. McShane and company will be also joined by Marco Zaror, best known for his work in Alita Battle Angel, who has joined the cast as, quote, one of Wick's lead pursuers. Theoretically, it's believed that he will fill the same role that both Common and Mark Damascus filled in the 2nd and 3rd film. A similar report from THR about the John Wick world focused on the long-in-development spin-off, The Continental, as it seems advancements have finally been made. First off, it's no longer really a series. Instead, it'll be a 3-episode event series. Each episode will be feature-length, around 90 minutes, and will come with a budget of $20 million plus for each single episode, bringing the total show to around $60 million plus, depending on specifics. The basic premise of the series will focus on the Continental Hotel in the 1970s. It'll star a new actor as a younger version of Ian McShane's Winston, back when he was just an assassin for the hotel and not the hotel's owner. Director Albert Hughes, best known for his work on films like Menace to Society, Dead Presidents, and The Book of Eli, will direct the first and third chapter of this three-part series, with producers looking for a second director to come in for part 2. Hughes won't physically direct it, but he will work with the director on that second part, as he is also joining as an executive producer, in which he will produce the show alongside all the major names that have previously helmed the franchise, including star Keanu Reeves, directors Chad Stahelski and David Leitch, and writer Derek Kolstad. The miniseries will air on Starz, though it does not have a release date set as of yet. We've spoken plenty in the past about how Henry Cavill has got his geek on between playing Superman, Geralt, and now the Highlander. He also fancies himself a bit of a spy after playing Napoleon Solo and The Man from U.N.C.L.E., joining up with the Mission Impossible crew, and recently signing on to Matthew Vaughn's new spy film, Argylle. But first, he's going to get his lover boy on as he joins a new romantic project, The Rosie Project. Based on the book of the same name, Cavill stars as Don Tillman, a genetics professor with Asperger's syndrome, who begins the, quote, Wife Project, an experiment where he uses logistics and numbers to find his perfect partner. In the process, he meets a young bartender named Rosie, who enlists his help in finding someone for her to have a child with. The rest of the book is exactly what you'd expect. Surprise, love, and probably a little bit of fucking. The book was originally released back in 2013, and an earlier version of the project was put into development in 2015, with Jennifer Lawrence signed on at the time to play Rosie. Depending on who you talk to, there's a bit of a confusion on if Lawrence ever actually left the project or is still involved, but it's certainly a pairing that would work if they followed that route. The film has no release date. Kevin Smith announced this week that Clerks 3 has been picked up by Lionsgate and is officially off the ground. Smith finally revealed the very meta premise for the film, in which we'll see stars Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson return as Dante and Randall, who have since left the convenience store in Clerks 2. After Randall suffers a heart attack, he decides to regroup his friends and make a movie about that time they worked in a convenience store. Smith was also able to reveal that himself, friend Jason Mewes, and Rosario Dawson will all reprise their roles they portrayed in the previous 2 films, and that the character of Elias will return from Clerks 2, with actor Trevor Furman in negotiations to return, but depending on availability, he may be recasted. This is currently the third film in a series that Smith is working on, as Moose Jaws is reportedly still in production to finish the Tusk trilogy, and he's also working on a sequel to another old film in Twilight of the Mallrats. Jordan Peele dropped a surprise post on Instagram revealing his next project is exactly 1 year away, dropping on July 22nd, 2022. The film is titled Nope and is set to star Daniel Kaluuya, Keke Palmer, and Steven Yeun. All that is known about the project is that it'll be another horror film from the fucked up mind that brought you Get Out and Us. So, yeah, that's it with this one.
I found it weird that you went with 2 shirtless men pictures in this.
Okay, for the first guy, look him up. Literally, all his pictures are shirtless. He's a trained fighter, so that was like the most modest one I could find. The Cavill one was on purpose. It's about a romance film. What am I going to do? It should be said, I compile the stories after I put together the write-ups and the pictures, so that I did not literally pull those in order. It just so happened that way. With that said, I do apologize for the length of the videos, guys. Like I said, there is a lot of news to get through, so I kind of had to make each one a little bit longer. But with that said, I feel like the most interesting thing is the John Wick stuff. I know Jordan threw a fist pump for the Kevin Smith stuff, so we can get to that in a second. But yeah, so John Wick 4, bringing in the actor that was shirtless in the picture and confirming Ian McShane coming back is cool. It's not surprising that they're going to have another, like, oh, this is the assassin that he'll kind of mess around with through the film, and they'll fight, but they'll have respect for each other. It's probably going to be a very similar role to that same archetype, and Ian McShane coming back does make sense, but this spin-off is the thing that interests me the most. I'll go ahead. Whoever wants to pick it up, what are your guys' thoughts on what we learned about the spin-off?
I mean, I'll talk about it. I think it's interesting that it's now almost like a Fear Street kind of thing, as in it's going to be kind of 3 separate, like, little mini films. Not even a mini film, a film really, the full length, and they're putting some money behind it too. You know what I mean? If it's about 20 per episode, they obviously have some faith in it, and I'm interested. You know, I kind of like that idea and that setup here, and So yeah, I think it's quite intriguing. Hopefully, they have a fun cast kind of built for that as well, and that it tries to tackle it in a little bit of a different way, but with the same style and finesse. So, I'm definitely interested.
It's sort of like almost like a BBC format, like with the Cumberbatch Sherlock.
With Sherlock,
At least 3 a year, but they'd all be an hour and a half, and all just be very high quality. So I like that as opposed to doing like multiple episodes, because like something like we just watched, like Loki, I think that show had the problem where it was both too many episodes at times and too few episodes at times, where like they had 6 episodes but they were struggling to fill 6 episodes, and in doing so they ended up getting a plot that they couldn't finish in 6 episodes. So it's nice that they have like this vision of like almost a trilogy of films that have a connected storyline that we're going to see. I hope we see people like Common. I'm not sure, there's that movie with Maggie Q and Michael Keaton. It says it's from
The Protege.
Does that at all take place in the same universe, or is
No.
that something that hasn't been confirmed or denied yet?
No,
Has anyone
it's-
asked?
It's well, they've said it's from the same people who produced it,
Yeah.
but the actual concept itself was written separately from them, I believe, by Martin Campbell, who's never done anything with John Wick.
Yeah.
So I do believe it's completely separate.
I saw a trailer for that today, and that just looks great, despite the fact that Michael Keaton's getting top billing because of contractual obligations, even though it looks like Maggie Q's the lead of the movie, but she's third billed just because Hollywood.
Listen, I won't spoil anything in the trailer in case I won't spoil anything specific in the trailer in case people don't want to. But let's just say I don't understand how Sam Jackson's getting third billing if what that trailer shows is
because he's
as
Sam
it's supposed to
Jackson.
be taken in
Nobody
the
else in the
film.
movie looks that famous. Like
Yeah, they're still gonna hype Sam.
No, it's oh fuck, what's his name from T2?
everybody else.
Robert Patrick is in it.
I love Patrick, but
I mean, he's
still
got a name,
Jackson's
but-
a bigger
Not
star.
famous.
He is, but
Not famous anymore. Robert Patrick's been on CBS Scorpion for whatever the hell long that show lasted for.
They're not
That was-
cancel that?
I hope so. I doubt it, because they don't cancel anything that deserves to be canceled. It's like, hey, the 65
man.
plus demographic still has their TV on at this point, so you might as well have it on.
I forgot that
CBS
was
is great.
CBS Scorpion. Yeah, I didn't even. Yeah, I forgot that even existed until you mentioned it. Yeah, yes, it was a show called-
Garbage,
Uh,
just garbage.
So then
yes, killed network TV.
yeah, they did probably. So does anybody else have any thoughts on John Wick?
No,
not really.
Not
just,
really.
Relate saying, I think obviously when you saw the Continental, when you realize what the Continental was, it's very conducive to a TV series. But I like the idea of, doing focusing, or like having 3 type mini movie things that you can have more time to to explain the universe. And yeah, I like this idea, and yeah, looking forward to it and see how it develops.
And part of me expects, from what they announced about the directors, part of me expects part 2 to be the action heavy piece of it, because Albert Hughes has done a lot of drama, but the closest he's done to action is probably Book of Eli, and that's not really an action film. So
Yeah,
it
but
kind of
that
makes sense.
action sequences in it.
True, but it kind of makes sense that they'd have him bookend it, and then probably where the bulk of the action would be in part 2, get somebody in who maybe a little more accustomed to doing that type of action.
I did find it interesting, that he's doing most of it, but not the second one. So yeah, I feel like there might be a reason. Maybe just scheduling, or like you said, he might go, hey, maybe someone else can tackle this a little bit better than I can. The second part,
or maybe it's just because if they're going to be feature length and they're going to be, I mean, obviously 20 million is not a big film budget, but it's still a budget. They may all be treated like film shoots. Maybe if they're doing it literally 1, 2, 3, he just wants a break in the middle. I mean, it could be simple as that. I'm just thinking from a story angle. Albert Hughes has done a lot of drama, less action, so I could see him being competent enough to pull it off, especially with all the previous producers and writers and directors being on board for the show. So he'll have the help there if he needs it. And I mean, people forget maybe at this point, but Stahelski and Leach started out as stuntmen themselves, so they can choreograph the action if they need to help. But I think they'll probably get someone a little more action experience to take that second part, because that's where you'd imagine the bulk of it comes, aside from the final fight, right?
I thought the story, as far as like John Wick 4 goes, I thought the story in the last John Wick movie was just so unnecessary. It's like the whole entire movie is a journey back to the status quo. Like that really bothered me with that movie, because it's like almost seems like they rushed it out there just to have a John Wick movie out that year. It's like, okay, well, we're gonna pretty much do John Wick 2 again. So like there's some cool stuff with Halle Berry and the dogs, but like I literally went to the bathroom like for a minute in that movie when I saw that, and I come back, Halle Berry's not in the rest of the movie. Like, what the hell? Where'd she go? Like, it's just.
I mean,
I think this movie, these shows will be mostly action, just because story's been thin for the last movie.
I will agree. John Wick 2 and 3 really do feel like they could have at some point been condensed into one film.
Yeah.
But I will say John Wick 2 doesn't have Keanu Reeves smacking a horse's ass to kill somebody, so that immediately
John
makes
Wick
it worse.
Is amazing. It's just after the opening, it's just like
it's going through the motions of
what he's doing after that.
Need a new character, action beat. Need a new character, action beat. Need a new character, action beat. Lose a finger, action beat. It's like, it is repetitive.
Bonkers.
Matt's gonna start kicking people off. All right. So what else was in that one? So Jordan, go ahead. You're clearly a Kevin Smith fan by the reaction. Talk about Clerks 3. How exciting that is for you.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. This is something that he's talked about for a while. It seemed like Jeff Anderson was kind of the last holdout that he hasn't really acted and was kind of holding out on doing it, and then finally he's aboard now, so it's a go. I'm excited about it. A really interesting premise too, obviously taken from the real life of Kevin Smith having the heart attack a couple years ago, and so I do enjoy the premise. I'm a little bummed that maybe Elias might be recasting, because I thought Trevor Furman was really funny in the second one, and he's another guy that I thought was going to like become huge, and then I don't know if it's his choice or not, kind of like a Jeff Anderson I don't know if it's his choice that he hasn't done much more since, so I'm kind of sad that he's a maybe, but I'm not surprised Dawson's back. Seemed like him and her and Smith have been tight for the last few years as well, so I'm excited, man. I'm hoping it's a little more well written than Reboot. I enjoyed all the cameras and whatnot, but I didn't love Reboot, but I love Kevin Smith, and I'm here for these characters. And I thought Clerks 2 was pretty good, so I'm definitely down and hopeful for it.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody who has multiple friends who really love Kevin Smith, they fully embrace stoner culture, and Kevin Smith is a part of that. Inherently,
I embrace him as a human being, man. I think he's a good cat.
He's every time I see like on social media, like on Instagram, where they do like the recommended stuff, and like I don't follow him, but his posts will show up sometimes, and like everything he types is a mix of some of the most inspirational shit you've ever seen, and then like, I love my daughter, man. She used to live in my balls. It's like one or the other, and it's the weirdest mix. But Clerks is one of the biggest blind spots I have in terms of Kevin Smith. There's a few of his I haven't seen, but most of the ones people really talk about I have seen. I've never seen Clerks 1 or 2. So in terms of my own personal excitement, I can't have it because I've never seen them. But I've heard they're great, and I agree with you. I didn't think Reboots, it wasn't all that interesting in terms of its story, but it was at least funny. And I thought the cameos and the work-ins worked a lot better than Strike Back, which I don't actually like all that much. So I thought as a film it worked better. So that to me is a step in the right direction, because as long as he doesn't do anything like Yoga Hosers ever again, I think he'll be okay. But
I've never understood the
Kevin
appeal.
Smith.
Yeah, I've like tried watching his things. Like there's a few like when I was younger, like I saw a few of his movies, and it just even today, like I don't understand the appeal. He directed a few episodes of like the CW shows that were like hit or miss. Like I remember one of them was really bad. One of them was middling. One of them he put his daughter in. So it's pretty much what you just said there. Pain's true. So like that's just like kind of what I'm. I just probably won't see this one.
Yeah, I feel like he is in a way like it's gonna be a weird comparison because it's Kevin Smith.
And I like
he's
him
almost like
too, because that's what's weird about it.
Yeah, that's why I even said like I almost want to champion him, like more so than saying all his work's perfect, because by far it's not. You know, like
Yeah,
yoga
he's-
hosers, I can't defend.
John Favreau couldn't direct movies.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend about because like big Kevin Smith fans, and he said, yeah, I think his movie, like I still watch his movies, they're great, but I think his movies went down in quality when he started smoking weed, like after Zach.
Yeah, don't forget. Yeah, if you're a newer Kevin Smith fan, the weed thing's only been in the last few years. He actually wasn't a big weed guy until more recently. I think Zach and Miri,
he may
wrote-
not have, but weed culture embraced him.
Yeah. Well, no, and then he also was cool with the fandom and whatnot. But yeah, I'm just saying, like
Yeah.
Richard was saying, he actually hasn't been a pothead until I think Zach and Miri time.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a couple, which is funny because that's probably the streak of like because I like Zach and Miri. It's fine. It's like the closest to me. It feels like the closest to a generic film he'll ever make. Not that it's bad. I do think it's a good film, but from what I remember of it, it's the most. What happened?
Did you see Jersey Girl? That was pretty generic.
That one's bad. I mean, good.
Exciting.
Yeah, I will defend Jersey Girl. It is not bad. It's
Guys,
acceptable.
Ben, aren't Ben and J Lo back together now?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
So-
probably banging in a New York loft.
Go
somewhere.
rewatch
Jersey Girl, like that's the beginning of the movie. Like that's the best part of the movie is that Ben Affleck marries J Lo and then she dies.
Hey, he has a really great monologue when he's talking to the little baby. Just saying, give Ben a
I don't
chance.
There's a good Will Smith cameo. Will Smith has a good cameo in that.
Jersey Girl's not bad.
All right, so
And I saw. Do we have time tonight to talk about Snake Eyes at all? Just because I got that. I saw that today.
yeah, I'll give you 5 minutes. Let me finish up through these
Dude,
stories,
wait,
and then I'll give you a couple minutes.
Cool.
Yeah. So I was gonna say to kind of look through the box office, which is something I've been doing every week because now that we have it, I think it is worth talking about. Yeah, man, Black Widow really dropped off. Like,
Yeah, and it is the piracy thing. You're absolutely right.
from 80 million to 25 million, and like I was talking to my brother, and this is how they're looking at it. Because I was talking to my brother, and he was like, "Well, that doesn't really seem like all that bad." And I was like, "All right, look at it this way." I was like, "The average Marvel movie opens to like 200 million, right?" And he was like, "Yeah." So I was like, "All right, imagine if the latest Marvel movie opened at 200 million." And then drop to around 50 million on week 2. Like that's realistically, statistically what we're looking at with this drop. Probably a little more. 55 is probably a little more accurate to 67%. Yeah. But the point being is that it's a fucking massive drop for a big blockbuster.
But don't you think that in the long term, in the long run, this is a good thing? Because this is just like a rocket shooting out to Disney saying, "Hey, this isn't gonna work. Like this isn't sustainable for the future. This was an emergency thing that you did for COVID. Don't try to do this when things are back to normal because you're going to get opening weekend numbers from like the diehard fans that want to see it a few times in theaters. But then even after that, I'm just going to watch it on TV at home because if this movie was like not on the Disney Plus as it was, I probably would have seen it a couple more times in the theaters by now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting thing. And the thing is, I think Disney did learn that it wouldn't be sustainable prior to because, as we've discussed previously on the show, The Jungle Cruise is the last movie that'll be following this model.
Jungle Cruise is going to bomb because of it.
Post this, their next 2 films, which are Free Guy and Shang-Chi, are both going to theaters only. But after 45 days, they're instead of 90, they're going to go to Disney Plus, and they may continue that for 1 or 2 more. But they're shifting up the model to make it more theater friendly. And I think this is almost rather than like a warning sign. This is like you made the right decision. You're right. I think Jungle Cruise looks fine. I think it'll be okay. I think it's got a charismatic enough cast that it'll work.
That's what it is. It's really the cast.
I also think it's probably going to offend people because according to the cast descriptions, someone who's in it, whose third build is a British comedian by the name of Jack Whitehall, who is apparently playing Emily Blunt's gay British brother. He is not gay in real life, and he has not been seen in any of the fucking marketing. So part of me wonders if it's not the most tasteful portrayal because you'd think that like
They don't show that in any of the trailers. Like that's
Yeah,
not.
could-
I didn't know he was in it.
considering he's third build, like he's like Jesse Plemons has
Yeah.
got more screen time in the trailers than him, and Plemons is way down the list. So like, and maybe it's just they don't have a way to market it.
Because like they
Sorry?
show him in all the shots in the trailer, like he's in most of the shots. I
Oh,
just
yeah.
don't think like they want to advertise that because they're
Probably.
like it's like we'll have gay characters in our movies, but we're not proud.
Quietly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Now, see, I'm waiting for them to fulfill that big boisterous promise they made with LeFou a few years ago, especially because he's getting a Disney Plus show now with Gaston. Like, I totally just want the first shot of that show to be LeFou, like, fucking some dude. 'Cause
really,
you can
with
do that on Disney.
they're doing that.
Yeah, they're bringing back Luke Evans and Josh Gad.
I sure wish they wouldn't. I really wish they wouldn't. I hate him. I'm sorry. I'm sure he's a nice guy. Like if you know him, I just can't
He's
stand
watching.
him.
Could the
So,
Jack Whitehall thing be that maybe they're worried? Maybe I don't know. He's not really an actor necessarily. He's just known for being, British comedian. I know. I'm not a huge fan, but could they be worried about his performance necessarily, and so they're trying to hide it? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If you
We'll see.
if you believe his stand-up routine, he's already been cut out of one Disney film, so maybe they're trying to do it again.
Frozen. Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's legit or not. It may just be a joke, but apparently he was in Frozen and got cut out of it. So
Yeah.
They had to let it go.
A lot of Disney movies though. Like they had all that stuff for like Infinity War and Endgame where people like shot stuff and then they're just not in the movie.
yeah, which that was one of the things that came out after I put the stories together. It just wasn't worth bringing it up, and I'm only doing it because Marvel's where we're going to go to when I play the next video. But apparently, I forget who it was, but someone did an interview related to Infinity War, and apparently there was a scene cut out of Infinity War that showed, like before Thanos got to Wakanda, Natasha was speaking with Hulk, and it was like the early signs of like Professor Hulk is a thing that's happening.
And it's
And there
in
was there was a whole dialogue bit of him while he was fighting Obsidian Cole, like talking, like they did the joke in the film where it's like,
that on
like
Disney
come out, no, screw you. Like, is it on Disney Plus? Okay,
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
on
know
Disney
that.
Plus. Under the extras, like it's there, but there's more. There's a conversation that isn't there that's in the trailer. That there's a shot in the first trailer for Infinity War where it was Natasha and she was standing in front of the Hulkbuster arm, and her and Bruce were talking, and they were talking about like the professor, like how Hulk wasn't coming out, and then at the end it leads to Professor Hulk, and then you do kind of get that charge like against Thanos that was in the trailer. It's just like a different model of the Hulk, but they decided to go at them one at a time, like a Van Damme movie.
All right, and unless anyone has anything to say about any of the other stories, we'll go ahead and move on to Marvel. Before we do, Jordan Peele's got a new movie.
Yeah.
Yay.
Snake Eyes.
I want to talk about that. What's that image on Nope? What is that? A cloud with a tail? Like I couldn't tell what that was.
Yeah, it's a cloud.
Alright.
Yeah.
It's a cloud.
I like the title. I think it's a good title.
Nope.
Yeah, I thought you had like made a mistake on your notes and were like, "Nah, I'm not doing that story." Because I haven't.
No, that's
I
that's all there
I
is.
hadn't seen that till just now.
He just dropped the poster and was like,
Yeah.
next year, fucking that's it.
I'm down. Get out. Us and Nope.
Can I have 3 minutes for Snake Eyes?
You can. All right, I forgot about the Snake Eyes thing. So let me go ahead and bring Malcolm in, just so he's not sitting in the background. Hello, Malcolm. All right, go ahead. Take a few minutes for Snake Eyes. Talk about it.
Okay, yeah, 3 minute Snake Eyes review really quick. If your expectation is Snake Eyes, Wolverine Origins, X-Men, G.I. Joe now, if that's your expectation, then you're probably going to enjoy this movie because it beat the expectation. Like, I thought it was a lot better than that movie was in particular, if that's your comparison. If you're a G.I. Joe diehard that's like, oh no, why is Snake Eyes talking? That might bother you, but I just say put that at the door. The thing that I like about G.I. Joe was I always remembered were the commercials. And last night I saw a commercial for this that was in the style of the old G.I. Joe toy commercials. And it's like, Snake Eyes! And he's like, nope. He takes the helmet off. Henry Golden! It was just hilarious. But yeah, I enjoyed this movie. I like ninja movies in general. A lot of people think it was like kind of a reskin of a different ninja movie that they just added G.I. Joe. Then I thought there was a lot more G.I. Joe stuff actually in it than like I would have thought would have been, just because it seemed like the movie was pretty like self-contained about Snake Eyes from the trailers. But like, yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm not a diehard G.I. Joe guy. I just like action movies, and I like this one. I had fun.
All right.
One thumb up.
One thumb. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's
my
my
whole
rating.
thing.
2 thumbs down, 1 thumb down, 1 thumb up, 2 thumbs up. This is 1 thumb up.
Yeah, that I was talking to my buddy the other day because he works as a server at a dine-in theater, and he saw bits of it, and he was like, I mean, it looks fine. And I was like, honestly, my whole thing is I've expected nothing from it because it's from the gentleman who directed the Divergent sequels. So just on that level, I was like, I don't expect anything from this movie. So if it's like watchable, I'll take it because those movies were really watchable.
Like I thought the pacing was really well. Like there's some in it where like they stop for a little bit exposition. The pacing between action and exposition was really well, and it really like leads up to like, okay, this is like the biggest fight of the movie, and then the movie's like, man, it's good. I like it. Liked it a lot.
Yeah. Well, a positive review from Snake Eyes for Nikki. And so with that,
no one else gonna ask why we just watched The Dog and Walked also for like 30 seconds.
That's because Matt has access to get in on his phone.
Okay, just wondering. I just wanted some clarification.
Yeah, I just wanted to ignore it, but yeah, Matt has access from his phone. There's weirder things that have happened. Let's talk about Marvel. In an interview with Rotten Tomatoes, producer Kevin Feige was asked what he feels the theme of Marvel's Phase 4 is. Feige said the overall arc isn't so much about building to a big story like with the Infinity Saga, so much as it is new beginnings. Every project, both film and television, is meant to establish a new leading role or a continuing path for a beloved character, with the paths established, being the road each character will follow during a future potential building story in whatever they do following Phase 4. This is a theme we've definitely seen already, and I'm sure people look forward to in the future. Speaking of the future, let's talk about some of it. This week, THR reported that apparently Tom Hiddleston has secretly shot footage for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and will appear in said film, which will release prior to the season 2 of Loki. This would make some semblance of sense as both projects share a commonality in writer Michael Waldron, who is a screenplay writer for Doctor Strange and head writer of both seasons of Loki. Not much else is known about what his role could be, but this would mean that the cliffhanger we see at the end of Season 1 would most likely be fixed in Doctor Strange and not in Season 2. We'll find out when the film drops on March 25th, 2022. Karen Gillan was discussing her character Nebula when she mentioned that Nebula would continue to be a complex character going forward. She discussed that between Thor 4 and Guardians 3, we'd explore Nebula's feelings towards Thanos' death, as he was both her father and her abuser, which leaves a complex feeling of loss within her. Gillan also said that she wanted to continue playing the role past Guardians 3, despite the fact that both director James Gunn and her co-star Dave Bautista have both already publicly said that they are done and not re-signing with Marvel after Guardians 3 is completed, meaning the potential future for Nebula is very open and interesting. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is filming right now in Atlanta and has added its second new cast member in the form of actress Michaela Coel. The British actress is best known for her HBO series I May Destroy You, in which she earned 4 Emmy nominations for her work, which included both starring, writing, directing, and producing the show. Aside from that, she may be recognized from smaller roles in larger projects like an episode of Netflix's Black Mirror and a cameo in Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Coel's role is currently not known, though the internet has spoken its belief that she would make a great reboot of the character Storm. Coel will head to set in Atlanta and link up with all the returning cast members and fellow newcomer Tina Huerta. The final product will release on July 8th, 2022. Speaking of casting, actor Josh Segarra has joined the Marvel family. Deadline reported this week that he has joined the upcoming cast of the Disney Plus show She-Hulk. Segarra may already be recognizable to comic book fans of television for his role as Adrian Chase, or Prometheus, on the show Arrow, for which he was a regular during the 5th season and made multiple guest appearances in the following seasons. Segarra joins a cast with quite a bit of pedigree behind it. We already know that we will see Mark Ruffalo and Tim Roth return as Bruce Banner and Emil Blonsky, respectively. Alongside them, Tatiana Maslany stars as the titular She-Hulk, with the Good Place actress Jamila Jamil starring as the antagonist Titania. The 10-episode series has been filming since April and still has a month left to go. It will release at an unspecified time in 2022. And finally, for Marvel news, Deadline reported that Marvel is currently in talks to bring director Bassam Tariq on board as the director of the upcoming Blade film. The article states that Feige has been meeting with people since last fall, and that Tariq has become the frontrunner. Bassam Tariq, a former documentary director, has only one narrative feature under his belt with the 2020 acclaimed drama Mogul Mowgli, starring Riz Ahmed. If that title isn't familiar to Americans, that is because it won't release here until September 3rd. Tariq does fit the description of recent Marvel hires, however, as Marvel seems to be going for a mix of experienced directors and fresh off the block directors.
Aaron.
Yes.
Aaron, sorry, I hate to do this to you. The picture you showed of the guy from Arrow, that actually wasn't a picture of him. That was a picture of a stunt double who had a mask on, who was dubbed over by Star Trek's Michael Dorn. So
I don't watch
it was revealed that was Adrian Chase. It was then him after that. It's just at that point of the season that wasn't him. So
You're fired.
As the Arrowverse free for all trivia champion, I have to correct that.
That's fair. There wasn't much left at the end of that. I apologize if you guys heard the echo I started hearing. I don't know what the fuck that was, but I was just pointing out that Marvel's been hiring indie directors. 3 of the 4 directors of films this year in Kate Shortland for Black Widow, Destin Cretton for Shang-Chi, and then obviously Oscar winner Chloe Zhao for Eternals had all previously only worked in indie film prior to making their debuts for Marvel. All right. Say that again?
Does that concern any of you? With that they're getting more unknown indie directors?
I'm gonna go with no, because it's not something they've done as repeatedly in the past, but they have done it before, and I think it's worked to well effect. I would say, you could argue that Favreau had Zathura, but he'd really never done anything like Iron Man when he did it.
Yeah.
Similarly,
he had some big hits, but the thing is, I hear what you're saying, but there's still known quantities, and the thing that I'm just concerned about is more that the directors they're more getting people who are young, up and coming, people who won't say no.
Fair enough.
They can control.
The best I can give you is the Russos, who had
that's a good example.
One poorly reviewed film that was a small comedy, and then a bunch of TV comedy work.
Comedy directors do best drama in the MCU.
Right, coming in and doing action drama and spy thrillers and all that stuff in the MCU. That's the closest I can get to those three.
James Gunn too. He never directed anything. He never directed anything big.
Fair. But what I will say is similar to Peyton Reed with Ant-Man, who had also never done anything of that spectacle. Fuck's sakes, Peyton Reed's biggest film was probably Bring It On at that point. He had never really done anything to hit that level.
James Gunn had a cult following, though. He was almost like a Kevin Smith type.
Cult followings don't equal big money, though.
I know that. Here's the thing. So, when it was announced, there was a lot of people that recognized that name.
So here's the best way for me to describe it to you. The difference between a James Gunn and a Peyton Reed is their films felt James Gunn had complete creative control over his film, so it felt like his films. Peyton Reed stepped into a comedy, so it felt like his films. So it was easier to step up. A better comparison, when I'm bringing up the Russos, is someone like Destin Cretton, who's only directed 2 small indie dramas, but is stepping up to make a martial arts film with mystical elements. And
never heard that name until you said it.
Yeah. You could argue that Taika Waititi is probably in that same boat where, well, yes, he's done a few big movies. He wasn't. True. I think a lot of people went back to see a lot of his movies once he was announced for Ragnarok, because I know a lot of people
he was
reputation.
Typically a New Zealand guy, right? Typically just
yes. And is it? Correct me if I'm wrong. Flight of the Conchords, right, with Jermaine Clement.
Oh, he produced. I don't know if he had anything much to do with it. I think he produced it or something. He didn't. He
He
didn't
produced
direct.
it. Okay.
His cameo in
what
Green
we-
Lantern.
What we do in the shadows is probably his big claim to fame. Directing wise, is probably the big one that
Right.
most people
And
know.
that wasn't even fully discovered until the combination of, I'd say, probably Ragnarok put him over, and then the show happened at the same time. That's probably because most people, I think, saw that film a few years after. It was one of those like, oh, you haven't seen this, you have to check it out type of films for the longest time.
Yeah, a lot of people in like the movie talk, the schmoes, like that
Right.
sort of
They were
following.
pushing
They all
that.
like knew about that, like, and then like now people like after stuff like especially like Jojo Rabbit. people
JoJo
see
blew him up
like
too.
Jojo Rabbit. I want more like this. All of his other stuff is more like that than it is like Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok is probably the most accessible thing he's ever done.
But
True.
You think the first thing? Okay, he like I don't think he has a writing credit on Whale Rider, I believe, that if you've seen that movie. But
The Nicky Caro film.
Yeah, he's got some credit on that. But he also he mainly did like there's a movie called Boy and a movie called Eagle vs. Shark. And the main big one that got a lot of attention was What We Do in the Shadows, which that then sort of got him all this other work. So yeah, I think he sort of counts.
But with that being said, I'm not going to try and pronounce this guy's name that's doing Blade. He does. This one does kind of worry me a little bit because
Bassam Tariq.
Yeah. Because as you said, he's mostly done documentary stuff. Like had his first actual narrative feature is coming out this year. So either Marvel's seen it as read, it's really good, and have good faith that he can do it. But it kind of worries me with the fact he's not he's only done one narrative feature, and it's mostly been documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, I will say this for Nikki, because he was asking if we should be worried. Kevin Feige once said, and this is when talking about James Gunn, a great storyteller can tell a great story regardless of if it's a small budget movie or a big budget movie. Marvel, yes, they want to try to control where the story is going to go because there's a huge narrative that they're building towards, and they don't want it to like go all over the place. There's clearly a path that they're going on. But
now,
outside of that, they let the directors direct how they want. I mean, look at Eternals, for example, how Chloe Zhao's directing. Completely different than what other Marvel movies are being directed. She's directing in like a smaller film.
Yet?
I haven't yet.
You haven't yet? Okay. So that's much of why I'm saying like what I'm saying with being concerned, because after watching that documentary, I wasn't surprised that she wasn't coming back for season 2, and I don't think it's that Marvel didn't like her. She didn't like I think it was a very mutual thing that like just we're not the same here. We're not going the same. And I think that's another reason why Loki did get a season 2, because they did let the director do like this very specific vision of like self-love and self-acceptance, and thematically I guess that's something, but it's not at all the overall plot of what Marvel's doing, which is why like this first season almost kind of feels like, okay, this is like a prologue to something that's coming up that's going to actually have meat.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Like I said, I think it's the best show that they've done on Disney Plus. I don't think it's like the best Marvel show all around. I still think Daredevil is better, but as far as what they've done on Disney Plus, I think it's the best show. I mean, just based on what they were telling in that, show, and then also what they're building towards, I thought it did exactly what a multi-season show does.
Yeah, and actually another director I actually just thought of that is another indie director that kind of got propelled big time into this is now I don't know if this is on Marvel side or Sony side with this director choice, but John Watts, who did the Spider-Man movies, he only did 2 movies before he got picked for Spider-Man, and now that's all he's done. So
yeah, he did. He did a movie called Cop Car.
Technically, his contract is with Sony, but I believe Feige had final say on who got
Well, I
hired.
mean, he's going to be doing Fantastic Four now, which is going to be.
So clearly, he likes him enough.
And that really
he likes him
worries
enough.
me. That worries me. I really hope they don't go too young with the Fantastic Four.
They're going to.
I am terrified that they're just gonna like cast like 22-year-olds playing 18. Like I hope they get this right. They have to get like.
I think Miles Teller would be really good.
I think they'll go.
Oh God, no!
Michael B.
no.
Jordan
I would
too.
say honestly, I would say
Okay, Mara.
the age
be great.
range. The age range will probably fall around where Fant Four Stick had it, like
Yeah.
maybe a little older. Like I would say
God.
I would say 30s, pushing mid 30s is probably where they'll go, because you have to remember they want to do
albums
it in
available.
such a way where they can keep it for longevity's sake.
Oh yeah, I hear
Like,
that. But because of who Reed Richards is, because of who Victor Von Doom is, they have to have some weight to them. Like I think you need to have them
Learn's the last one.
as established, like not established superheroes, but established scientists. Like just people, big time science guys. You know.
you guys, so hold on. Just because I'm going to step away for a minute. You guys keep going. If the conversation dies, Malcolm and Nikki, since you were here the whole time, just throw out one of the other stories. I'll be back in just a minute.
So one of the things that I saw in the documentary that I can't get my mind off of is that Owen Wilson mentions a throwaway comment about how Ben Stiller never asked him if he played Hamlet. And now I'm just thinking, would Ben Stiller be a good choice to not star in one of them, but to direct one of these like Marvel movies?
I mean, like Ben Stiller's directed work is really good of late. So I mean,
really good.
You see, like Tropic Thunder, he can have a big vision. I don't know if he's interested.
Like he could do like a Guardians type. I'm not saying Guardians, but one of those like weirder things, like a Howard the Duck, or like a Loki.
Like Ragnarok, like a Taika Waititi type, you know.
Yeah. So I just that's one of those things that after watching that documentary, it was one of the lines I can't stop thinking about what that sort of thing would look like. Is it like 90 at the Museum? He directed those ones as well, correct?
I don't think he directed Night of the Museum.
No.
It was
Sean Levy.
Yeah.
He directed Cable Guy. Directed.
But another thing too, like we're talking about, like these kind of newer directors who did small things. Don't forget too, they're also a lot more affordable. Like I'm sure paying the guy from Cop Car is going to save you a lot more money than going to Ben Stiller. So I'm sure they, between that and they're probably more workable than like Ben Stiller going, no, I want this. Like Edgar Wright, look at Edgar Wright. He probably was not willing to lean as much as Payne,
because if they're just going to get somebody who they're going to say follow this outline as we said it, don't push back. You might as well get somebody who's unknown because they're going to be cheaper, and you don't get much director like.
I'm sure even James Gunn's next asking price is going to be way more than what he did for the first Guardians.
That's a draw for Suicide Squad, but that's not a draw for like Guardians 3 because Guardians is the draw for Guardians 3.
Just to bounce off what you said about Edgar Wright, I think Edgar Wright the issues was that the MCU changed a lot by the time Ant-Man was done, so his original script for Ant-Man just wouldn't have worked. So
there's more to it. I don't mean to be blanket on that one statement. I just meant as kind of an example of like, you know what I mean? Like he already had kind of a big line of work versus the guy that did only Cop Car.
Like technically, Punisher Warzone is one of the first movies that Marvel Studios did, even though it's not in the MCU, and that's around the time that Edgar Wright was working on his Ant-Man stuff. So that by the like Punisher Warzone, there's no hint of a connected universe really in that movie. So a movie like Ant-Man that's just this kind of jokey, wacky thing back at that time, they wouldn't have thought that would have been connected with a Captain America movie with a Spider-Man.
Isn't that Punisher and Thor? That actor?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, Ray Stevens. Yeah.
But to go on to a different topic, I think the casting of Josh Segarra is interesting. And also, I can actually see Michaela Cole being a version of Storm, because I think there's something. I remember someone saying that there's a rumor going that over these next phases, Marvel wants to slowly introduce a X-Men, and if the rumors are if this plan is still what they're going for, then I think Michaela Cole as Storm is probably what is going to be, if anything, because I can see her being Storm.
Right.
I think she's gonna be a door. I think she's gonna be a Dora Milaje.
Maybe.
She's
I
got
don't know.
the right shaped head for it. She'd look good with those like head
As
tattoos.
long as she says the line, know what happened to a toad when it's struck by lightning, then I'm good. And as long as that gets resurrected.
Yeah. No, I like that. I do like that.
Even if there is no toad, she just still has to say it.
I don't know what the other stories were, Matt. I don't.
I don't know.
I like Jamila Jamil.
I don't know how
I'm
long
happy
enough
to see her in
attention
something else.
for one.
And I'm interested that Tim Roth's back. That's kind of cool. I remember that.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we're gonna
Fine.
see that in Shang-Chi, so that's gonna be pretty.
I didn't know. I also didn't even know Ruffalo was going to be back. So that's kind of good that they got him for the TV show, even if it's only for a little bit.
And then
I'm worried about Miss Marvel. Apparently, Miss Marvel's coming out this year,
Yeah.
and that honestly, like I was saying, like I'm terrified of Fantastic Four. This doesn't like worry me as much. I am concerned just because and this is a combination of things, just like the little sizzle that they showed so far. Something about the color grading worried me. But it was just a little bit over, and that's something they could fix later on, like if they get feedback on it. But I was also playing the Avengers video game, and like for the first like however long, 4 or 5 hours of that game, you're just Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, and you're running along, and she just won't shut up. She just keeps talking, and she won't shut up, and it's so annoying. I hope that they write this character in a way that doesn't annoy me. Because
I bet the writing is going to be much better in that show because the writing for the game was garbage. Because it was a pretty bad game. But
I don't think the game's bad. I just think that the character portrayal was pretty awful.
Well, I don't like it. But with her though, she is a little girl though. Of course, she's going to run her mouth. I mean, my sister still does that, and she's
not
like
a little
17.
girl. She's like 17.
But in the show, she's not going to be 17. She's probably like 14, 15.
Well, I think it depends on whereabouts they're going to start, how old they're going to start it off in the show, because
How are they going to handle the origin stuff?
Are they handle what?
Origin stuff.
I don't know.
Like the Terrigen crystals. That's what activates the Inhumans' powers. And she's an Inhuman.
Well, this is one of those ones that I kind of don't know where they're going with it, because
I hope they retcon her into a mutant.
I mean, I don't think they'll go that far to sort of retcon her as a mutant, but with how I think they feel about the Inhumans, I don't know whether they'll do the have her be part of the Inhumans as well, unless they want to sort of restart the Inhumans and make it better. But yeah, I don't know, because I think from what I've heard is her origin's going to be slightly different from what it normally is, and I suspect that's because they don't want to reference the Inhumans anymore after that abomination of a TV show.
Right. Yeah,
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has some redeeming moments for the Inhumans. None of the ones
I wasn't talking about that one. I like what.
Oh no, I know. You're talking about Captain Pike running around Hawaii looking confused. I mean that's just awful. Thank God that show was terrible, because that allowed him to be freed up and play Captain Pike in Star Trek now. But that Inhuman show was pointless. But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Inhuman mythos, the way that they handled that, and also the way they handled some pretty like F-list characters to actually make them seem like legitimate, like Yo-Yo and Daisy. I think they did a good job with them. None of the rest of them, but those two.
Do we have another video to play for maps? I think we've gone through all the topics.
I'll look. I don't know which one is supposed to be next. I'll guess.
Drum roll random.
I just
Iman
think
Vellani is who plays Kamala Khan. I'm trying to find her age, but they don't
I
have
think she in real life she's 18, but still.
Yeah.
I mean, they usually play younger than what they actually are in real
Yeah.
life.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So she's
Tom
probably
Holland's
like 14,
5, and
15.
he's playing like what, 16-year-old still?
I think so, yeah. But no, I'm just a little not like scared, but kind of concerned that Marvel has 6 shows coming out in 2021 in total.
Yeah.
Because you had WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, Miss Marvel, and then Hawkeye is supposed to come out, I think, in November, around
Mhm.
November.
I mean,
It's
I don't.
all about
Yeah,
keeping the person back the next week. Like you need to make them come back the next week. That's why all this stuff is coming out. It doesn't even have to be like high quality. It just
But
needs to
still.
come out.
I mean, if it's all going to be connected, I would prefer to be
Yeah,
high
exactly.
quality.
You want to. If you like one of them, you have to watch all of them.
Yeah, because I mean, I know they've been working on both Hawkeye and Ms. Marvel this year, so I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of those ones. Like, I think there's a good chance that depending on production or bar any sort of halts that may happen, then I think if they've got a plan to have them both out this year, then they're going to do it.
Yeah.
But
I'm excited about Hawkeye.
otherwise, if they don't think one's ready, they're going to move it to early next year.
Especially after like Black Widow, like if we're gonna get like that tone for Hawkeye, and I'm excited to see more of Yelena. Like I loved Florence Pugh way more than I thought I would in that movie. Like I keep going back to the hero like moment. In these Marvel movies, these characters have hero moments, and she had a lot of hero moments in that show, in that movie, that I really felt like they could have used a few hero moments on like something like Loki, where like I look at that show. That I need like a hero moment. I need them to like do something, see something that looks like awesome, and like Yelena does a lot of stuff. I'm gonna take off though, guys. I gotta go lay down and get some sleep. But thank you for having me on.
Yep, no
Look
problem.
on,
Going.
Prosper. Good luck, Maddie.
Thank you.
You're on your own.
All right, so we're gonna play the next video real quick while Aaron is. I don't even know what Aaron's doing.
You don't want to know.
Yeah, he's eating and then he's doing something else that I don't think is good to say on YouTube. I don't really want to risk the channel getting deleted if I say what he's probably doing at the moment. So we're not gonna say it. I'll play the next video.
My dick fell off. I'll just put it in a jar.
That's what Aaron was doing.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. You know, it happens.
I
See you,
will
doctor.
I'll take a shot in the dark and go with this one.
As this week's show is an all-news show, we continue with the news with DC films, which, if you thought the last videos were
Nailed it.
long, DC absolutely fucking dominated the news cycle. Before heading on to the live-action films, let's start with the animated films, as DCAU fans were excited to hear that the full cast had been announced for the upcoming animated film adaptation of Injustice: Gods Among Us, a film based on the storyline introduced in the fighting video game of the same name, developed by NetherRealm Studios, the same studio responsible for the Mortal Kombat reboot series. The story centers around Superman going rogue following the murder of Lois Lane, the culmination of a chain of events set off by the Joker. Batman has to recruit a group of remaining superheroes to take on Superman, who has brought together his own team of allies. The cast includes a series of people with experience in previous geek properties. The film will be led by former Green Arrow actor Justin Hartley in the role of Superman, and Star Trek Discovery actor Anson Mount in the role of Batman, respectively. Some of the bigger names in the ensemble include Steven Universe star Zach Callison as both Damian Wayne and Jimmy Olsen, Brandon Michael Hall as Cyborg, The Purge co-star Edwin Hodge as Mr. Terrific and Killer Croc, Oliver Hudson as Plastic Man, Community co-star Gillian Jacobs as Harley Quinn, Kevin Pollak as both the Joker and Jonathan Kent, Anika Nani Rose as Catwoman, Reed Scott as Green Arrow and Victor Zsasz, and Iron Man actor Farhan Tahir as Ra's al Ghul. The film also makes use of some major voice acting talents, like Laura Bailey as Lois Lane, Brian T. Delaney as Green Lantern, Spider-Man voice Yuri Lowenthal as Mirror Master, The Flash, and Shazam, Derek Phillips as Nightwing and Aquaman, Janet Vardy as Wonder Woman, and voiceover legend Fred Tatasciore as Captain Atom. The film currently has no release date, but it is believed that it'll be the next big animation project that DC focuses on. All right, now that that's over, let's get to the rest of it. Shifting to live action, Dwayne Johnson reported this week that the DC project Black Adam had wrapped up principal photography. The film will release 1 year from now, so now the long process of post-production begins on the project. In pairing with the initial announcement, a photo from the set was released by Johnson through his Instagram, giving us a first look at his on-set costume. The film will be released on July 29th, 2022. In an interview this week, Colin Farrell told fans to temper expectations on his appearance as the Penguin in the upcoming film, The Batman. Farrell said in total he only shot 6 scenes for the film, and as far as editing goes, not all 6 scenes are guaranteed to make the final cut. This comment makes sense as the film also reportedly stars Paul Dano, Zoe Kravitz, and John Turturro as the Riddler, Catwoman, and Carmine Falcone, respectively. So at some point with 4 villains, someone has to get the short stick on screen time. We can only hope the role is setting up for more future fun when the film drops on March 4th, 2022. Director James Wan said in an interview this week, scaring fans of the Aquaman, that he seemed unlikely to return and direct a third Aquaman film should it get greenlit. He did say that he may aid the story or as a producer, but that he wants to move on and pursue different endeavors. True fans of James Wan, though, will understand that this is absolutely the norm for James Wan. Wan became known for directing and creating the first Saw film back in 2004, but despite getting an executive producer credit on each of the following 8 sequels, he was only ever actually involved with one of them, helping write the story for Saw 3, as a tribute to the passing of the producer who helped him get Saw off the ground. Similarly, he directed the first 2 Insidious films and the first 2 Conjuring films before handing those off to other creatives, completely stepping away from the Insidious series and only helping write the story for some of the Conjuring spin-offs and the sequel. He also only directed Furious 7, despite being offered the Fate of the Furious afterwards as well. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, his last potential directorial contribution to DC, will release on December 16th, 2022. Jeff Snyder of Collider reported this week that DC reportedly has 2 Black Superman projects in development. The scoop of the story is that Michael B. Jordan, who is already in bed with DC as a producer of the upcoming Static Shock reboot, is set to produce a project centered around the character Val Zod, human named Calvin Ellis, for HBO Max. Jordan is also rumored to potentially be up for a role in the project, though that is currently unconfirmed. If the name Calvin Ellis sounds familiar, that's because the name was floated around the project being worked on by J.J. Abrams and Ta-Nehisi Coates. Snyder says definitively that these are 2 different projects, with Jordan's going to HBO Max and Abrams going to theaters, but that the discovery of this Michael B. Jordan project leads to the possible credence in the rumors that the Coates project will simply be about a Black Clark Kent, and not one of the Black Supermen seen in the comics, though he could not confirm this fact. Neither project has a release date. And finally, Deadline reported this week that In the Heights co-star Leslie Grace has won the lead role in the upcoming Batgirl film, being directed by Bad Boys for Life directors Adil and Bilal. Grace made her feature film debut in the Heights earlier this year as Nina Rosario in the Lin-Manuel Miranda musical. Prior to that, she's been a Latin recording artist with 3 Grammy nominees. The role of Batgirl went through an auditioning process in which people of all races and levels of experience were tested. Reportedly, the role came down to a final 4, which included Leslie Grace, as well as Isabella Marquez, Zoe Deutsch, and Haley Lou Richardson. Though Grace is by far the least experienced of the 4, she clearly impressed Warner enough to win out the role. The film is set to go to HBO Max with no release date set as of yet. All right. Apologies for sounding like a drunk dickhead. That was the last video I recorded of the boot. That's all, folks. That was the last one I recorded of the group, if you couldn't fucking tell by the way that was spoken. I couldn't care to record that one at all. Yeah, so I feel like the biggest thing of the group here is the Batgirl casting. Yeah. I mean, I'll shoot to anybody. What are your guys' thoughts on it?
I like the casting. I thought she was really good in the Heights. I really don't know much besides that. She might have done some music videos. I don't know. But I mean, I like the casting. She looks like she can fit the role. She seems a little more, I guess, she doesn't seem as gritty as what you would think Batgirl could be. So I'm kind of curious to see how she does, because clearly she did something good to get that job. Then again, I mean, Warner Brothers, was complaining that in Man of Steel they wanted to use Superman's ship that he landed on Earth with to destroy Zod's ship, because if he destroyed his ship, he wouldn't get back to Krypton. So I don't know. Who knows? But hopefully she's good. I like it.
But yeah, I mean, like as always, I also enjoyed Leslie Grossman in the Heights, and I'm glad she's getting more work out of it, because it's always good to see any actress land. I'm kind of glad they're going for an unknown and not sort of someone that's sort of well known for Batgirl, because it means that there is no expectation. I mean, but the other one, like the Injustice cast, is interesting to say the least. And I know there's a lot of people complaining that they didn't get the voice cast from the video games back. I mean, a lot of them could have been busy doing other video games and stuff. Like, they're not just going to sit around sort of ratings like, oh, there's a movie coming out, I'll just keep my schedule clear just on the off chance they get asked. But I mean, Justin Hartley getting upgraded from Green Arrow in Smallville to now I can't Batman or Superman. One of them. I can't remember. He's Superman. I love that casting, and from what I've seen in Gillian Jacobs from Fear Street, I think she'll be able to make a good Harley Quinn.
That's the one I'm most interested in. I love Gillian. So yeah, I'm interested in how her take on Harley.
Yeah, and my bad. I just want to call Mr. Diaz out here. I know exactly what I said. He played Green Arrow, not that he was in Green Arrow. I am well aware of who Justin Hartley is. Sorry, continue. Go ahead.
I'm roasted.
I was just going to reiterate what I said. I like Julian Jacobs from Community, and I think she'd be good. But other than that, like I haven't seen In the Heights, so I can't really speak on the casting. But hope it'll be good. And I really enjoy the Injustice game. It's one of the better. I don't think there's many like real good like fighting games these days. I don't think they're few and far between. But that was a really good. I was really engrossed in the story and the gameplay of that. So I'm looking forward to that being seeing the screen adaptation to that. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
It's definitely something that can be adapted pretty easily and well done potentially.
Yeah. Jacob, go ahead.
Yeah, and DC is like top tier when it comes to animated superhero movies, in my opinion. They haven't made very many bad ones, I think. So I'm super excited that they're doing Injustice. I think they can knock it out of the park with that story. So I'm excited for that. And as far as the casting for Batgirl, I don't know much about the character, but I did like her in The Heights. So I'm excited to see her in another role. And so, for that reason alone, I'll probably check out the movie now.
How long have you been here, Jacob? I didn't know you're here.
Well, when everyone, I try to find points to jump in, and then I try to, and it doesn't happen. So I'm just here to look pretty.
We'll take the eye candy. We will take it. I do want to say, and obviously as it would be, it's something the internet's going ballistic about. I do appreciate the approach of, particular the idea of the color blind casting. I do think having more diversity in where you can fit it is good, because diversity is a very clear and apparent issue in Hollywood. But I do think there is sometimes an issue of this targeted attempt at diversity, which I think doesn't come off as well. To the people who are out there bitching because your Batgirl isn't some white chick with red hair, I'll go back to pull up the picture. The top 4 options, none of them were a white chick with red hair. Some were white, some had slightly auburn hair. None of them fit that description.
Well, I mean, it's one of those ones. Because I think a lot of people confuse Batgirl and Batwoman a lot, because Batgirl is not so is actually black-haired one. It's Batwoman, which is the one with the red hairs of.
If that's the truth, then that's just people even being dumber. But like I've seen that specific complaint out there from a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
That's always
I
gonna happen, sadly.
don't doubt that you have, but I mean, it's one of those ones. If it makes sense in the story, like they don't just do it because it's just there. And besides, if this Batgirl is going to be somewhat connected to the Batman, Jim Gordon is a black dude, so it makes sense that like Barbara is the same color.
Which at the moment it's actually there. I didn't include it because it's a very light rumor, but one of those sites where it's like you don't know whether to trust them or not. It's not like what are they called? We Got This Covered. It's not them, but it's another one of those similar sites. Was reporting that apparently it's not connected to either. Like they're just going to straight recast Gordon for this. So I don't know how it'll turn out. What I will say is I thought her performance within the Heights is good. Well, she was good. But I was shocked when I heard she got it because the final 4 came out first and then they announced that she had got it. And it was just a matter of experience. Like the other 4 on the list they're not blockbuster names, which plays to what Matt was saying. I like that they're not going for a blockbuster name. That was never their approach. The closest you get is Zoe Deutsch because she's technically Hollywood royalty, but most people don't know she's related to somebody famous. She's the daughter of Leah Thompson from Back to the Future.
Yeah.
So like most people don't know that fact though. So it's like
I was 8 years old.
Yeah, Jordan.
So I like the fact that none of it, like, it was clearly off of what they did in the audition room themselves, and clearly she impressed them enough despite having nowhere near the amount of experience. That or she was also cheaper. It's one or the other. I don't know which, but either way, good for her. What's some of the other stuff that was in there for DC? So this Superman thing, like, so this is exactly what I mean, actually, when I talk about diversity is good, but there are clear attempts at forced diversity that don't make sense. And even though I think people get too pissed off about it, I do get why there's a bit of an upsetness here. This thing of, we have one project about a black Superman that is just the Clark Kent story again, except he's black. And then another story that is actually based on, I believe there's been at least 2 Supermen in the comics that were black. And this Michael B. Jordan one is based on his story. So it actually is coming from a story from the point of view of a character in the comics who is written as African American. I don't understand why these need to be 2 separate projects and why the one that's going to theaters is the same story we've seen but with a color swapped character. Now, maybe that's not all the facts. Maybe there's still more to learn. But on the surface, this is what seems like forced casting. And there was an interesting note in Snyder's article that I didn't include simply because I didn't think it was needed for the video. But there was a note where he noted something where previously when asked about it, because that rumor's been circulating forever, where it's like Michael B. Jordan would make a great Superman. And he's already been, as I said, he's producing Static Shock. So we know that he's involved with them. And when asked about his involvement on a black Superman film, he would deny it. And apparently the reason that he would deny it is because, and this is just according to the article, it's conjecture based off information that he knows but is not publicly confirmed. Apparently the reason Michael B. Jordan would deny that he was involved is because the final details on his project with them had not yet been finalized, but he was aware of Abrams's project and actually himself disagrees with what they're doing in just taking Kal-El and making him black. And that's why he didn't want to become associated with that project, because he doesn't actually agree with it. Which, if that is a true fact, I think that's very telling, and I think that's a very interesting piece there. So if any of you guys have any thoughts on the HBO project that we have coming from Michael B. Jordan.
It's like, I don't care if like a Superman is going to be black, white, yellow, purple, green, whatever. I don't care. Why are we doing 2?
Purple
Just
might be
do
weird.
either. I mean, he's an alien after all.
Teletubbies?
But yeah, Teletubbies the movie. But like, why are we doing 2? just either do the show with Michael B. Jordan or do a movie. Not with the J.J. Abrams thing, because that sounds like it's going to be a disaster. Just how they're approaching this whole thing, where it's like, hey guys, look, I know Ray Fisher, he said all this stuff, but look, we're doing Black Superman. We're going to recast and basically have the same story that was told over, since 78, 77.
Yes. 78.
We're going to continue to do that over and over again, but we're going to just race swap. It's like, just do one or the other. Either do the show or do the movie. And I would say the same thing if it was two white Supermans or two Asian
it's just
Supermans.
very redundant.
Yeah, it's like do one or the other. I mean,
like if you guys want to reboot Clark Kent's story again and variate it in some way, that's fine. It just it does seem, especially and even then, like I would say, if you want to make two Black Superman movies, there's more than just one character. Like the Calvin Ellis was the name that got brought up with the other project, and it's the name that there is the character they're going with for this project as well. Like they're actually doing it with the Michael B. Jordan film. But there are other Black characters who have held the role of Superman, or even like I believe if I remember correctly, Superboy was white, but Steel's another character who is in the comics at least was Superman-esque, who is Black. Just take that character arc, and if you want to do it as Superman, do it as Superman. But there are so many written Black stories and other race stories in the comics that it seems very thin from my perspective to just take a story.
Unfortunately, though, they're going to go with the name everyone knows instead of making one of those characters.
Mahershala Ali. But no, like, just do a Logan-style Steel movie with Shaq. Just do that instead.
Okay,
That'd
no.
be better.
I was with
That'd be so much better. Have him in there.
Keep Shaquille.
Sorry. I think studios have this sort of. Sorry, man. I think studios have this sort of issue lately, like where it's like everyone sort of has the same, idea of a same sort of property kind of thing, and instead of like waiting to see how something pans out, they're like, oh, we'll just put all these things in development. Like like at one point there was like 5 or 6 Joker movies in development or something like that.
Yeah, that's gonna be my other point too. Is that like I have a lot of faith. One of these, if not both of these, will fall through. I mean, we hear it all the time. Like you said, all of a sudden there's 6 Jokers and there's 1. There's 2 movie things based on Tiger King, and now the Nicolas Cage thing is falling through. So like, let's also wait and see in a month, 6 months, like if these 2 things are actually going through.
Yeah, and I was about to say before Matt puts in a Shaq's getting Shaq back as Steel into the world.
We're gonna get banned for that, aren't we?
Shaq would be up for it, man. Shaq would be up for it.
As like Aaron said in there, like we still don't really know much about J.J. Abrams' Superman, because I think at this point it's still rumor and conjecture that it's going to be a Superman of color, and it's there's really nothing much confirmed about that, but if Michael B. Jordan confirming that he's now like his one is going to be about Val Zod, or Barack Obama as I like to call him, but it's one of those ones like one of these is probably not going to happen, or it's not going to happen anytime soon. And I think with Michael B. Jordan's ones are seemingly being sort of more like confirmed about where we're going with that, I'd say J.J. Abrams' one's probably either going to be something different or it's not going to happen anymore. But yeah.
Yeah, potentially. And I would say if Abrams' project does get canned, I don't think it'll be out of bad blood. I just think it will be out of redundancy because he's doing other projects with them. I don't think they have a bad... And again, my thing of thinking that more and more that it's true is when all the major publications, and to an extent all the best writers at the major publications have put their name to this, like have put their names on these articles, and though they've never literally been like breaking Abrams and Coates film about Black Superman, this is a detail that's showing up in all of their articles. And that to me is saying, okay, they haven't had someone say the word to them, it's confirmed. But from everything they're hearing, it seems like it's very, very much a real possibility. Now at the last minute we may get a total flip and it'll be Asian Superman, and at that point it's like, okay, well, cool. At least that's something different. I still don't agree with, I'm sure there's a character in the comics we could pull and adapt, or you could create your own character and create an experience around this character. I still don't agree in this instance of taking, because Superman in the comics has already been established as a character that can be different people. It's one thing if it's a character that there's like this strict, like this identity has only ever been associated with this one character. Like if that's a thing, I get that, but like you could easily create another Superman if you want to tell a different story and write a more personal story around a new character that could identify with the group of people you're trying to reach, rather than just taking a character because the name's recognizable and trying to shift and alter that story to match what you want to do.
Welcome to Hollywood.
Yeah.
True.
Sorry for cutting you off there, Richie, but I actually did a quick Google. There is actually an Asian Superman in the comics.
There we go.
So if they want to do it, there is actually one that can take in. But
what's that guy's name?
I will look that up. I only have the picture at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, not so much. I didn't actually read into it. I just saw the just Google
picture.
it.
Perfect.
Yeah. Kong Keenan.
Okay. Go ahead, Richie. Sorry.
I was just saying it was sort of like similar to like when like we're it's sort of calmed down a bit now, but like when you saw the all female reboots of stuff, it's like, oh, that's cool, but like like we get a all female Ghostbusters, that Ocean's 8, we might getting a 21 Jump Street, we might getting all this, like, I mean, that's cool, they might be good, but I'm like, why don't you make a whole new sort of thing with female, like female driven thing? Is it why do you have to make all the existing properties? It just kind of feels like you're making up for like decades of sexism by just putting by putting females in men's movies. It's like you can just create your own kind of to go with that, but it just feels a bit kind of like see, we're doing good, see, yeah, see.
I need them to remake Bridesmaids and call it Groomsmen.
I will still say the only one I've ever approved of simply because of the title, and I am sad it never got off the ground, was they wanted to spin off the Expendables and make a female version of that. And the title was the Expendables, which is the best thing I've ever heard.
Yeah,
that needs to exist.
That.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
That needs to exist. All right, so let's see. What's the last thing we haven't talked about? Colin Farrell in Batman only shooting 6 minutes of footage. I'm not shocked, quite honestly.
6 scenes.
6 scenes, excuse me. Yeah, maybe more. Maybe they're just each 20-minute scenes. But yeah, six scenes worth of footage. Like, that's not shocking. I mean, people barely recognized him in the trailer. Did they really think he'd be a main villain in this movie with how many characters there are?
No, I mean, this is one that, like, well, yes, he's only shot 6 scenes. I mean, maybe he planned to do more. Maybe it's because of COVID they could only get each actor there for a certain amount of time. So it's like, so maybe that was the case too. But I mean, this is one that because I think they're probably setting up for a trilogy, so they're probably going to have Penguin pop up as a more prominent villain in a sequel, maybe if that's the case.
Potentially, I could also see him being a part of, and this is all about Colin Farrell's price, really, but I could also see him being a part of the Gotham PD spinoff show they're doing that's in universe on HBO Max as well. I could see him totally fitting to that vibe as well. Like, if you want a Batman villain that can play this underground villain role, I could totally see the Penguin doing that. Again, that's more about Colin Farrell's price. Can you afford him for HBO? Is he willing to reduce his price? Like how does that work out? Because, I mean, Colin Farrell's not a big star, but I'm sure he's not cheap either for all the big jobs he's done. So potentially there. And then The last thing I think that's worth noting that I can remember we haven't talked about was the James Wan thing, which again was another thing that when I read it, I was like, I don't know why the internet's shocked about this. Like every site that I clicked on for the article, the comments had a couple of comments each of like, oh my God, what, he's leaving? No, the third one's going to suck. And it's like, well, he's done this every single time.
Mhm.
He just kind of starts box office hit franchises and then walks away from them for fun. Like that's what he does.
He did 2
even-
Conjurings, he did 2
Mhm.
Insidious movies, and now he's going to do 2 Aquaman movies.
He didn't direct 2 Saw films, but he was only actively involved in 2 Saw films.
Mhm.
And he was even offered 2 Fast and Furious films. He did 1 and left. So
Yeah. I don't blame him for that.
no, after the experience on 7, I understand that one.
Yeah.
'cause
Well,
that was
that
a
and then
nightmare.
8 and 9.
It's been a
are
long time.
To be fair, 8 I still think was grounded enough. I haven't seen 9 yet, but 8 was.
Ground is
9
not a
does
word
make
you're going to
8
use
look
with
like-
9. You're not going
Oh,
to use
I've
that word
heard.
with
Oh,
9.
I've heard. I've heard.
9 makes 8 look like Citizen Kane or The Godfather.
I don't know about that, but
I don't know,
All
it's
right,
bad.
what about it makes it look like Crash, a Best Picture winner that wasn't worthy?
Oh, it definitely makes Crash look like the best picture winner ever.
I have a feeling someone didn't like Fast 9.
Nah, it's
Same.
tell me how you
So bad.
really feel.
pretty bad.
Dude, you think that's bad? Ask him about fucking Looney Tunes or whatever it's called.
Look, I came to the conclusion that Space Jam 2, you know, a shitty legacy is better than Fast 9.
I did not like Space Jam.
Like I don't know.
I
Like,
didn't
I
either. They're both.
disagree,
I
but
couldn't
so like minutely that it's not worth fighting over.
yeah,
So here, all right, I have not seen Space Jam 2 yet, but because I know I will see it at some point, I did finally watch the first Space Jam after having never seen it.
uh-huh.
It's fine.
Why
Yeah,
did your
it's,
parents hate you as a kid?
It was fine.
No, why did your parents love you so much that they didn't make you watch the movie?
It's
Well,
a
Hey
for one, I
Jacob,
was-
for your second time speaking, stop
For
it.
one, I was -3 when the movie came out. I was not born yet, but also
Oh, sorry, old
first-
grandpa over here.
I mean, the first Space Jam's not terrible. I actually,
yeah, it's
I mean,
fine.
I was one that I didn't like it when I watched as a kid. Is actually when I watched it more times after that, it just grew on me, and I enjoyed it growing
It-
up. So
It honestly kind of reminded me a little bit, and if Chris Diaz is still watching, he's going to go ballistic in the comments, but it kind of reminded me of the reboot of Tom and Jerry, which, for the record, I did not hate that film. I don't like it, but I didn't hate it.
Worst
I
movie
like
of the
it.
year I've seen so far.
But it reminded me of that film in the sense of the stuff with the cartoon characters felt like the real stuff that the people would animate for the cartoon characters. It
Yeah.
was the other stuff that was added in that was just like, meh, all right, cool.
Humans.
This
I
is
will
Chris
say,
Diaz
I
right
was-
now.
I was
Because he heard
never
you
aware-
say that you thought it was like Looney Tunes, or like you thought it was like Tom and Jerry.
I will say, I was never aware that Danny DeVito was a part of the cast, so that was a nice surprise when he showed up.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh,
fuck, is
great
that
villain.
DeVito?
Would you watch
Uh,
a Looney, would you watch a Looney Tunes slash Fast and Furious?
Say that again, it cut out.
Yeah, what?
Would you watch a Looney Tunes Fast and Furious crossover?
Yeah,
I mean-
fuck it, why not? They
Yeah, sure.
basically are at this
I'm
point.
pretty sure they're gonna get
That's
there.
what it is.
You could drop a
It's
hammer
all
on Vin
about
Diesel, and I
family,
believe it.
bugs.
Acme are producing their cars now at this point. Like,
Well, I
I
mean,
believe it.
it's one of those ones. They'd have to make a big deal for Universal to make that happen.
Yeah.
Come on, look at the money on the table. Look at the
Well-
money on the table.
Well,
But
yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, if they were both under the same banner of studio, then that's probably would happen more soon. I mean, just get
If-
Danica Patrick and do a Space Jam 3, but with a different sport.
Oh, yeah.
And do that as a crossover Fast and the Furious.
Oh, yeah. Look, I just want to know how Vin Diesel kept those shirts just super white, never got them dirty. They were just extremely
He's got
white.
those.
They looked
he's got those
brand
to-
new.
He's got those detergent sticks they have now, where you
Oh,
can just clean
just
something on
clean
the
something.
spot. Yeah,
Like in Heights, it's like, oh, here, let's do that.
Yeah,
Vin Diesel
exactly,
saw that.
yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna do that.
That's a good idea. Let's take that to the movie. I don't know why I made him sound like Rocky, but either way.
Hey, yo, I'm Toretto. Hey.
Check out Vin Diesel's pop music if you haven't heard it.
Oh God, I'm doing that now.
I'm just
plug
waiting
that.
for Fast and the Furious the musical.
Yeah, it's coming.
All
Don't
about
encourage them.
family.
Don't
Nothing
encourage
but
them.
family.
Don't encourage them. I know like half their cast are singers, but like don't encourage them.
I
If
want
Ludacris,
Fast and
if
Furious to use
Ludacris
Jurassic
did
Park.
the Fast and Furious musical, it might be more embarrassing than Baby. He might
Well-
actually top himself.
I mean, here's my picture of crossover: Fast and the Furious, Space Jam, and Steel. Get it,
Oh god, yes.
I gotta go,
F it,
guys.
F it, man.
This is
I think we all just quit this.
You would spend all your budget.
All right. So you know what? Since we're pretty much done with DC, let's step away from the geek and kind of reset with some other news that, funny enough, as we'll get to in a minute, includes a reboot that just makes absolutely no fucking sense. Oh, is it doing the video issue again? Oh, it didn't load.
Yeah.
It
Always
didn't
sees
load
the
properly.
photo.
It didn't load properly. Okay, I'll just read it out loud. All right, here we go. So that picture there, as Pierce Brosnan goes from one film to another, as Black Adam wraps up production, he joins Netflix's new action comedy, The Outlaws. Adam Devine stars as Owen Browning, a bank manager about to marry his fiancée. However, the week of the wedding, Owen's bank is held up by robbers just as his in-laws get to town, in-laws he's never met, leading Owen to believe the two incidents are connected. Brosnan is reportedly playing the role of the father-in-law / supposed leader of the robbers. No word on how soon production will begin and when it will release. So I'll just do these one at a time rather than if anybody has anything to say, I'll move on. So anybody have any thoughts about that?
That sounds fun. I don't know. Yeah.
Sorry, I will admit I didn't hear you at all because I was listening
That's-
to that Vin Diesel song.
Oh, good God.
I
made the
just
right
needed to.
choice.
I don't buy that's him singing. I just don't buy it. It sounds too good to be him.
There's a reason the main credit goes to a production artist. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
They're helping him out.
Like, I mean, if that's actually him singing, then he's better than a lot of people. He would have been great in the Phantom of the Opera.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it sounds fun. I mean, there's nothing, obviously not much to go off, but Adam Devine's cool. I've never seen him in a sort of a lead role thing. This is the first time he's in a lead kind of thing. I know he's in it.
Jexy?
Oh, fuck, that movie sucks.
Oh, okay. All right.
If
This is the
that's
first
the
time
movie
he
you're
could be
gonna
a
bring
lead in a
up.
good movie.
Yeah.
Mike and Dave need wedding dates?
If
No,
that's the
Zach
movie you're
Efron's
gonna bring
ex
up.
lead that film.
That was because Malcolm C. That's a shameless ripoff of a New Zealand movie called Sione's Wedding. Anyway, there you go.
Is it really?
Yeah, it sort of is. Yeah.
Because it's based off a real story that happened here in America.
Oh, really? It just
Yeah, that's a real thing.
It feels very Sione's. If you
Well,
Google
so is
Sione's-
Tag. Like, you know.
if you Google a thing called Sione's Wedding, it's the same premise. Yeah,
Probably.
anyway.
Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if they based comedic elements off of other films, but the actual story of two guys posting themselves on a Craigslist for dates to the wedding, that actually happened. It was a real thing.
Okay, I didn't know that.
But yeah, actually, Tag is a great representation of. That's another one where they took a thing that's actually real and these guys playing tag with each other. I think Tag was a little more exacerbated than Mike and Dave was, like so much so that they don't even use the guys' real names in Tag. It's
I don't know.
fictionalized to that much of an extent.
Mike and Dave definitely screws off the path as well to just being a crazy nonsensical.
true.
You know,
Nope, it's 100% true.
all of it. You know.
All
You
of
were
it.
there.
That was made up.
The part
Jacob
where, what
is
is it?
Dave.
Is it Adam Driver hits his sister in the head with a moped or something? All of that's all real. She took a fucking wheel to the head.
Adam Driver? That's you
Adam
saw a different
Devine.
movie.
Sorry, different.
I want to see Adam Driver.
I
in
would
that
watch
movie.
that movie.
Yeah.
Adam Driver would probably do it too. He seems down for anything. All right.
God bless him.
All right, so I'm going to skip this next one because I'm just reading these, and there's not very much in that one either.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Story.
So, okay, so the background's going to change in a second because I'll pull up the picture for you guys. But moving away from Netflix and over to Paramount, Scream, the 5th film in the series, and not the first film in the series, is just under 6 months away from release and is basically picture locked. In an image that was leaked and then deleted by the directors of the film, we were finally given our first look at the Ghostface killer mask of the film. The mystery behind the killer is always one of the biggest intrigues, and the directors of this film kept that mystery alive. So much so that different actors were given different copies of the script, with multiple versions having different killers and potentially even different versions of deaths. According to the actors, all of the footage and all the variated scripts was shot, so only the people who edited and directed the film truly know how the film goes. We'll find out when it drops on January 14th, 2022. All right, so I'm going to change the background for just a sec since the video isn't working to
I
put
haven't
that
seen it.
imagery up.
That's not it.
Hey, look at her. She's also in
Man,
this.
Ghostface is
her.
looking good to me.
Congrats to
Sorry.
Leslie Grace.
I
Shout out to
Ghostface
her.
can
Last
stab
pic-
me
told
any
ya.
day.
Last
Shout out to
picture I
Leslie
did.
down, Jordan.
Grace.
Calm down, you fucking horny. Where is it?
Hey, why do you have to always assume I'm horny? I
Here
mean,
it is.
I am, but why?
I'm pretty sure that's just from the first one. Okay. So nothing's changed.
Yeah,
No, not much has changed, but it's an image. It counts.
All right.
All right.
It looks
So, go ahead.
very much the same. I don't know. Don't have very much to add.
I do like how they put out the picture with property of Paramount on it. That was funny.
Well, hey man, they gotta watch out for those bootleggers. They're obviously keeping real track of it. I mean, just in general, I'm excited. I'm a big Scream fan. A prediction: either Nev, Courtney, or David dead in the first scene, if not two of them.
Damn, you think they're just gonna
all
kill
three of
him
them.
right off the bat?
I think kind of like Scream 3 kills Liev Schreiber right away. Spoilers, sorry. Should watch Scream 3. Shut up. I feel like they're gonna start off Scream 5 real hot. I think one of the main three is gonna go, hey, we're not effing around because they lived through all four. I also said this for the fourth movie and I was wrong then, but I'm right for the fifth.
Do you think there's a chance I forget her name, but they're bringing back a character from the fourth film as well? It's not Emma Roberts, it's one of the other ones. Do you think there's a chance they kill that character off?
Is it Hayden Panettiere? Oh no, it's a cop.
Yeah, no.
I can pull up the name for you.
But yeah,
If it's the blonde cop, I mean, yeah, she'll probably die, but also I feel like no one's that attached. Like I liked her character, but like I wanted Hayden Panettiere to live.
I've only seen the first two Scream movies. I need to watch.
Oh,
Scream
I did legitimately spoil 3 for you. Oh wow,
Yeah.
I thought you were screwing with me.
But,
Well,
I mean, no, it's how old, so it's kind of my fault. But
it's the first scene,
You're still
so
kind
just
of
get
a jerk.
past it, and I didn't spoil how it ends with Scott Fuller being the killer. Ah, damn it!
So it's Marley Shelton as Judy Hicks.
yeah, Shelton's the other cop with Dewey. Yeah, she could definitely go in the first scene or later on.
Yeah, I mean,
totally.
and all the Scream movies, they do kill off a big name person in the opening scene, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of the past people from the series, or it's going to be another one that they haven't announced that's in the cast. So they're going to see it's like, oh shit, they're in this movie.
Oh wow, Tom Cruise in Scream 5.
Is this a pointless
Bring back
reboot?
Randy.
You said there was a pointless reboot that were coming up. Was this the one you were referencing?
No. This one kind of makes sense. I'm getting to that now. Here we go.
Wasn't that a reboot?
No.
All right.
Remake. But yeah, I think I'm looking forward to the Scream 1. Scream 1 at least is one of my favorite. Scream 2 is a really good sequel. I think Dewey eats it. He barely made the second one. He's barely made it out of them. So I think he's hanging
You
on
cannot kill David Arquette except for Scream 5.
And Courtney Cox.
I think. I think he at the start. But anyway,
Yeah, I can see him dying. Then Courtney kind of ropes Nev to come back to help her. Maybe.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to the fun one. I'm going to read this verbatim because I wrote some really bad pun jokes in there, if you catch my references.
Puns!
Oh boy.
There we go. So, Deadline reported that out of all the possible reboot options in the world, Grease was the word. Paramount has given the green light to Grease, Rise of the Pink Ladies, which will air as a show on Paramount+. The series will be set 4 years before the events of the original film, showcasing the Pink Ladies and their impact on Rydell High. Though the original film did feature 4 pink ladies and the characters of Rizzo, Frenchie, Marty, and Jan, it is believed that this series will focus on a new set of girls, continuing the concept established in Grease 2, that the T-Birds and the Pink Ladies aren't the nickname of just one set of students, but in fact an ever-evolving group with different members of different generations, which is the dumbest thing I've ever said on this show. This is the 3rd project centered around Grease currently in development. That's the dumbest thing I've said about this show. Originally, HBO Max had a series called Grease, Rydell High in development, which would have centered on younger versions of the characters from the film exploring early high school and concepts such as peer pressure, puberty, and based off the description I read, I don't know, fucking everything else Glee did. It sounded a lot like Glee. It's since been canceled. Separately from the shows, the movie Summer Lovin', being directed by Hearts Beat Loud director Brett Haley, will focus on the summer romance between Danny and Sandy, as highlighted in both the prologue of the film and the opening song Summer Lovin', a project that seems rather redundant, as while I'm sure they had a blast, I don't need them to tell me more. Neither Rise of the Pink Ladies nor Summer Lovin' have a release date. Why the fuck is this getting made? Can somebody answer that question on this show?
You kind of already stole my opening joke, which was tell me less. I was like, oh, watch something else.
I mean, I get like wanting to like maybe introduce Grease to a younger audience because older classic movies. So you want to sort of like that. But yes, it's one of those things too where like, but what we talked about before, like it's okay if you have one thing in development. Why do you have multiple things in development?
Three?
But the same.
Thank God one got canned.
What do they do at studios? They just sit around going, what do we own that we can just revamp this week? Like, well, Grease, all right, put 4 things in development. We'll probably cancel all 5.
Yeah,
Are they going to get 30-year-olds to play high school students again?
Yeah, Jacob, you're casted.
Probably.
Man,
probably. So my thing, especially when I heard about the Summer Lovin' movie, as somebody who, and this is, it's horrible when I say this because of what that movie's really about, but when I was younger, my mom loved Grease, so I saw that movie a lot as a kid, and so because I have a good memory, I know a lot of the lyrics to the music in it, even if I don't see it for years at a time. Knowing what some of the lines in Summer Lovin' are referencing to, I don't want to see the film equivalent of the line, did she put up a fight? I don't need to see that happen. Like that song, especially through a modern lens, is a really bad representation of what that could be.
Oh no, I'm going to jail.
Well, I mean, did she put up a fight? One, I think that's more the guys sort of wondering. I don't think whether or not what actually happened during that summer is all in that song. Because the bits that John Travolta sang was probably what happened. But yeah, it's one of those ones like I like Grease. I'm actually intrigued by this. I Paramount's Plus is dropping in New Zealand and Australia in August, I believe. So I'm excited for this.
Maybe my least favorite.
I'm probably going to watch it. Whether or not it'll be good, I don't know. It depends on who they get.
For sheer sake of curiosity, because of how much I think Grease is legitimately a great movie. I haven't seen the stage version of it they did, like that they broadcasted on TV. I heard it was good. I just never saw it. I don't know how you can do this film in the modern day with like PC culture, because there is so much shit in this film that would need to get rewritten or reworked.
The Pink Ladies are definitely going to rise up.
Yeah, so like it's very interesting. Now I'm going to take this second to talk about what is truly an underseen gem, which is Grease 2. This movie is a great example of so bad it is very entertaining. If you've never seen it, here's the best way I can sell it on you. I'm not kidding when I say every single song on this soundtrack is a euphemism for sex. Every single song. And this will tell you how good my memory is because I haven't seen it in years, but there is a song about reproduction sung in a biology class in which the hook line at the end of the chorus is, "Where does the pollen go?" They're not talking about flowers. There's a song at a bowling alley called "Let's Score Tonight," in which the men swing the girls around like bowling balls. There's a song in which the euphemism of riding a bike is compared to fucking a man. The lead girl is sad that her boyfriend dies because she never got to sleep with him. Where else can I go with this?
That's a legit reason, Aaron.
You sold me on
Don't make
Grease
fun of
2.
it.
Oh, and here's the best one. Something that would never happen in the modern day. So it's pure 80s cheese. There is a scene in this movie in which one of the lead guys gets a girl into a bunker shelter and has his friends mimic like there is bombing outside so they can, and I quote the song, "Let's do it for our country."
So, Aaron,
Ordering that movie
you
now.
said there was at 1.3 projects for Grease.
Yes. Tell me you
So,
found more.
so me, who used to want to be in this industry, couldn't get a job, but the fucking dumbass who thought, let's make 3 different projects for Grease, not 1, not 2, but 3 for something that really hasn't been relevant since like 1980. If they're getting a job, then where's my job?
Matt,
If
you're
you
going to
think
be
of a
cast.
Grease
Do I have to do hard drugs?
You're going to be cast as Danny Zuko in these Grease series.
So I retract everything I said. They are geniuses. Continue. Let's do 4. Let's do 5. Let's do 6. Let's do a spinoff where it's just me. My character. Let's do that.
The Zuko Files.
Let's do me as like an 80-year-old man. Let's see what it's like in the future. A bunch of 80-year-olds reliving the past. Let's do it.
Speaking of undersung movies, by the way, you mentioned the director of Heartbeats Loud. Heartbeats Loud, really good.
Yes. He is the only thing giving me hope for that project.
Yeah, that's why I had to
there
pause
must be
myself.
something there. All right, so before we go ahead, because that's pretty much everything. Okay, so this last bit, I'm not going to bother reading the rundown because we're so late in the show, but WandaVision director and now Emmy nominee, I don't know if he was nominated, but the show was, Matt Shakman is now attached to direct an upcoming Star Trek film. Out of the numerous projects that are in development, supposedly at Star Trek, it's not really known which one he's doing. It's just known that he's involved with making one. Which I think is awesome. Good for him. He's been a director that's been around for a long time. He's worked on everything you could think of in the industry, from Game of Thrones all the way to what's the show? Always Sunny. He's directed episodes for Always Sunny. He has done everything you could think of in the industry. He's only made one film, and I don't believe it got a wide release. And so he's kind of just stuck to TV. And I like that Marvel and WandaVision has kind of given him his big break and shown that using the power of television, which was a medium he was used to, really proving he could direct a film, considering the budget of that, well, the scope of what they were doing, the fact that it is a Marvel property and treated like their films. So good for him, just in general. I thought the direction of that show was one of the best things about it. So good for him.
So you're telling me that this new Star Trek film is going to be really intriguing and interesting until the last 15 minutes of the movie, and then it's going to go downhill?
Well, Jock Schaefer's not writing it, so I wouldn't call that his fault.
Okay,
We might have a shot.
Thank God.
No, it's going to be Captain Kirk and Picard going through different TV sitcoms. Yeah. I mean, but one thing I'm going to say is, who was Nikki when we get to Star Trek?
Yeah, I felt bad. I don't know at what point he dipped out. I just got back and he was gone. So
Zachary Quinto is going to appear as Spock, but you're going to find out it's just an actor. It's not really Spock.
Right. Are we going to have the original Kirk come up in the movie? Really exciting. We're like, what's going on here? And then his name's going to be Ralph Boner.
Yeah. It was Khan all
Was that
along.
all just for a boner joke? Like, I'm still not convinced.
It wouldn't surprise
It can't be. It can't be just for a boner joke.
Black Panther had a "What are those" joke in there. Okay, I think Marvel will occasionally do the child.
They'll go for the dumb joke.
Yeah,
but they also hurt our hearts a little bit. That was more than just a boner joke.
Honestly, I am going to keep the story around just because Nikki is probably the hardest Star Trek fan we have out of our regular crew, so he really will have a lot to say. Do any of you
hearing this too?
Probably. Do any of you three have any big thoughts on it, or are you guys ready to move on?
As long as they bring Darth Vader back.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
They got to do that.
No, I was just mentioning that, like, again, it's probably another thing that's got like multiple projects in the works. I don't know
Malcolm mentioned it, but yeah, like Quentin Tarantino had something right that is going on, but then not happening, or what? That was
Yeah, it's. They've never said it's not happening. They just haven't said it is happening. It just kind of exists.
Motherfucking Star Trek.
I mean, there's legitimately like 5 or 6 scripts that, if you follow the reports, were all announced, but were never actually canceled. Right. So, like, it really isn't known what is happening with this film. All we know is it's coming out June of 2023. So, let's see how that goes. So before we move on to the final bit of the show, which we'll do only a part of, Malcolm sent me the picture and I only just noticed it. So this is the Asian Superman he was referencing earlier.
There we go.
That is a thing from the comics. There we go. I just saw it on my phone, so I was like, let me get it on my computer.
Okay. I don't hate the suit.
No, it's a unique suit. So, all right. So what we're going to do for the final few minutes is we're going to go through some of the trailers. I don't know how many of them, just because the new stuff got sent out late. You guys were brought in late. I don't know how many of these trailers you guys saw, but I'll just run them down. Whoever saw them can speak on them, and then we'll head home for the night. All right. So the first one up on the list it wasn't a trailer, but it was the first full clip we've seen from the upcoming Sony Netflix film Vivo. Has anybody seen this musical number? No? Okay.
Not this one, no.
So I'll run it down. We start with the new Sony animation film Vivo, which released its first full look at the film through a clip of the song Feel the Beat. Vivo brings together the creative minds behind multiple films, including Lin-Manuel Miranda and Chiara Algeria Juarez from In the Heights, Kirk D'Amico of The Croods, Rich Moore of Wreck-It Ralph and Zootopia, and Peter Berezicini, who was the writer of the original High School Musical films, to create this new vibrant musical. Miranda stars as Vivo, a singing kinkajou who must travel from Havana, Cuba to Miami, Florida to deliver a love letter that his owner never could. The film stars an ensemble including Zoe Saldana, Michael Rooker, Brian Tyree Henry, Gloria Estefan, Leslie David Baker, and Cuban musician Juan DeMarcos Gonzalez. The film is set to go to Netflix on August 6th, so it's dropping in like 2 weeks.
I do like when that happens. I love when trailers come out and it's like, by the way, 2 weeks.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah, I think the first clip of it was like a 40-second spot that came out less than a month ago. So this is the first full look at something from the film.
This is the first time I'm hearing about it.
Fair enough. It was originally a theatrical release for Sony, and after the success of The Mitchells versus the Machines earlier this year, it kind of just got quietly shuffled, like, go to Netflix. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how it does. But I like the clip. I mean, Lin-Manuel Miranda is a good music writer. He appears multiple times in this trailer rundown, but he's a good writer of music. The song was interesting. He's a good singer. Honestly, it just seems like probably a fine enough kids film, really. A singing kinkajou delivering a love letter. Like, okay, cool. It's not high concept, but it's probably sweet enough as is.
It'd probably be like Rio.
I will say, I saw the name in there, and I mentioned the writer of the original High School Musicals. I saw his name in like the rundown of the creatives involved with the film, and I went, where do I fucking know that name? And it's because I'm watching the damn show on Disney Plus. It comes up every week as the based on High School Musical written by this guy. And I looked it up. He has done basically fuck all since writing those films. Like, he has next to no credit.
I don't know why.
Nothing else.
Those movies are masterpieces.
Yeah, we'll call it that.
They're fantastic, especially the second.
They gave us Zac Efron.
Stop till I get to the top.
So.
Yeah, it's the first one where Zac Efron's actually singing in it. The first movie didn't have him sing in it. The second one does.
What?
Yeah,
he didn't sing in the first film.
Somebody else
sing when he got hired.
My whole life. What are you talking about?
So
nothing makes sense anymore.
In the first High School Musical, they hired him and he couldn't sing, so they brought in a professional singer to
some of the Milli Vanilli Zac Efron.
So some of the songs were just the professional singer, and apparently some of them were a voice melding of the singer and Efron, which it was like when Efron could hit the range that the song was going for, the voice would be melded to make it sound more like him. But like some of them, like the one I know for a fact isn't Efron is the basketball song. Yeah. That's just straight up not Efron. That's somebody else singing.
Well, I discovered this because I did my weekly High School Musical marathon, and I was watching
Yeah,
those
I
movies,
believe
and I was like, wait, that's not. And I went back and I listened to the first, and then listened to the second, and I was like, okay, there's no way because they came out pretty close.
If you listen to the songs from the two movies, like just pick any random two songs, and from one from the first film and one from the second one, you don't even have to listen to the whole song. Listen to 30 seconds of each, and you'll clearly hear they don't sound like the same person.
What happened? He went through puberty, or like what changed?
I don't know.
He just couldn't sing. So they hired him. They hired him without realizing he couldn't sing, and so they had to give him. Well, yeah. So so funny enough, Disney didn't pay for the lessons. He got the lessons because he did Hairspray. They paid for the lessons, and then when he went back and did High School Musical 2, they were like, "Oh, he can sing now. Fuck, cool, let's do it."
Yeah, no. What I was about to say, it's interesting when you to find that out, especially when you think of the fact he did Hairspray. And I think he's done. And I think he's done other musicals since, like. Yeah, so it's
the most
like
obvious example.
The fact he couldn't sing when he got hired is really interesting.
It also makes you wonder how Disney was betting on this to be their like next big kids hit, and they hired a lead who couldn't sing. Like, you think they demo test that a bit more?
So here's like the first movie that this is supposed to be Efron, clearly not. So obviously not him. And then here's the second movie.
Barely coming over the speaker.
See, different.
Yeah, you can hear they're not the same voice.
Yeah, it seems like a bit of an oversight not to. Oh yeah, we got a musical. But, oh wait, if you're gonna hit, why not get like a six? But like someone that I don't know. Just you want to create a hit. That's paid off in the end. That seems weird.
Listen, ironically enough, the casting for these projects has always been really off. Like I've said on the show multiple times as a joke, but it's not a joke because I actually am watching the Disney Plus show that they're doing for it. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, so I'm watching it. And funny enough, they did the same thing. One of their leads that they hired, he's not the lead, but he's one of them. He's not a singer. And so they've had to write into the show multiple times where he's done songs by himself or had solos. And at least for season 1, for season 2, it's a bit better because they gave him training. But in season 1, anytime he sings a solo, it's purposefully written in that he is not that good at singing to cover for the fact that he cannot sing in real life. But then one of the background characters or supporting characters who isn't involved in the musical at all came from like fucking Broadway. And it's just like, what the fuck was the point in the casting here? Yeah, so let me get to another trailer instead of talking about High School Musical for another 10 minutes.
I'm going to make
I'm glad we just spent 5 minutes on High School Musical.
I know. Look, I'm creating a petition. Everybody can sign if they want to get the High School Musical trilogy in 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. Okay, we're going to get this done. They deserve it.
That's just silly. I think we all know that there's already a petition out there. I've already signed it.
I'm looking right now because I will do this.
I will forward it.
And Nat will do it.
What's that, Jordan? You made the petition?
We need to get High School Musical in 4K. It's in Blu-ray, but I need it in 4K.
What's not in 4K? Get it in 8K.
First 8K Blu-ray. That will make the 8K TVs worth it. Everybody's like, "Oh, there's nothing in 8K to watch." Well, you got High School Musical now.
Oh, fuck it. Let's talk about High School Musical for a few more minutes. Let's just, you know what? I'm gonna take the last. I'm gonna take the last 2 minutes of the show because at this point, there's so many trailers. Who fucking cares?
Look,
at this point?
I'm disappointed. There is no petition to get High School Musical in 4K, but there will be now.
There will be.
If you guys care about the trailers, we'll talk about them next week. Only the best ones will be kept, which is basically me saying, Jackass Forever, we're not talking about. The Last Duel can stay.
Forever.
I actually made this, and I think it's very valuable.
So here, Blonde Ben Affleck? Oh my god, I just gotta say.
Delete the website change.org. I made that petition. Nobody signed it.
Change.org is blocking every share you made of that petition. They're just like, no.
I shared it everywhere.
That's incredible.
I forgot about that.
So I'm going to take 1 minute since we're about to hit the 2-hour mark. I thought about pitching this as a bit for the show, since we're doing like movie reviews and stuff, I thought about pitching me trying to sell the High School Musical show as legitimate as a bit, but I just realized it'd be 20 minutes of everyone looking at me like I'm fucking insane. So here's the pitch in less than a minute. There's no way I can make this show sound good. You're either going to buy into it and watch it or you're not. But think of it as the best parts of Glee, I'm assuming, because the guy who created it wrote for Glee. But think of it as like the best parts of Glee and a Disney Channel show, with every attempt to cut out the corniness. Like, the show tries to be as straight-laced as it can, but because of its foundation in both Glee and Disney Channel, it's obviously not always going to do it. The music is better than the show probably deserves. The acting is mostly better than the show probably deserves. The writing is very corny at times. But if you've seen the movies, honestly, you'll probably like the show. Because it's almost like the movies are, it's like if the movies were self-aware. Like the best way I can pitch the self-awareness is like, okay, and again, this is as stupid as it's going to get, but in season 2, the main school are competing against an enemy school, and the enemy school challenges them to a dance battle. And after taking a minute in which all the characters basically go, this is fucking stupid. Why would we do this? They still agree to it anyways. They do it. And then in the next episode, when the bad school does something outrageous, they make the fourth wall joke really outrageous coming from the school that challenged us to a dance battle. That is the best I could possibly pitch this show. It's dumb as hell, but it is enjoyable. And with that said, I'm going to stop my dumb ranting and end the show for the night, because I've lost the brain cells. Jordan's disappeared completely.
I'm still trying to figure out which parts of Glee were good.
The whole damn series.
I've never seen the show, so I can't actually tell you. I'm just guessing it's taking something from Glee. Pass. Fair enough.
The premise of the show High School Musical is basically Glee. There's nothing too different about them. Just one's high Disney, the other's not.
Right,
actually, they're both probably technically at Disney now, because Glee was made by Fox. So
yeah, so Disney owns it now.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I think in some countries that have starred that it is on Disney Plus. Not for me yet, but
all right, let's end this nightmare, guys. Thank you so much if you watched all the way to this point for watching. I want to say thank you to Jordan, Richie, and Jacob for being with us. Like I said, we were missing some of the more regular panelists tonight, so I was glad to kind of put a thing out there and see who was interested in coming on. If I haven't scared you away with High School Musical talk, we'd love to have you guys back whenever we have openings again. But if you guys have anything to plug, go around. Where can the people find you? I'll start with Jordan.
No, man, thanks for having me. I'd love to come back. Fun discussing some news, talking some movies. One of the things I love to do. I do it myself over at the Pierce Code channel, a show about shows podcast. We kind of do something similar. We discuss news, do a top 10 recent movie reviews, as well as the show about trivia, movie trivia that some of these fine gentlemen have been on. And then, of course, the Pierce Wrestling channel, wrestling trivia, live wrestling matches, and then Real Pro Wrestling. We are live August 21st. 6-year anniversary event at Crown Plaza in Fort Myers, Florida, as well as the Real Pro Wrestling on YouTube. So, thank you.
Nice. Richie, do you have anything coming up that you'd like to plug?
Not particularly, but yeah, I'm on like a lot of Jordan channels a lot with about trivia and wrestling trivia. Catch me on there. Catch me all around the league. So I'm doing classic tomorrow for my. What's that? Other than that, I'll be around, and yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Jacob.
Yeah, you can catch me over at Nerd Entertainment Network. I do some stuff over there. Also, Combat Wrestling Trivia. I'm over there, losing. I'm on Jordan's show, losing. I've been on Classic before, losing. So if you want to see me lose, there you go.
There's a common theme there. I like it. Keep it consistent. Malcolm, where can the good people find you?
You can find me hosting Late Enough Take 3 every Sunday nights. Tomorrow is just going to be a mishmash of stuff. I don't have an official main topic. You can find me hosting Rankum every Saturday. We just did a top 12 romantic comedies of the 2010s. Unfortunately, Roman Holiday was not one. To get that, you'll have to watch the episode to find out what I was referencing.
I hope no one suggested Roman Holiday.
But you can also find me over on Full Metal, where I host Full Metal Classic on Sundays, as well as Full Metal Random, and this week is Harry Potter, because why not?
Awesome. Who better to do Harry Potter than the man from Middle Earth? Mr. Beer, where can the good people find you except on your own channel?
Yeah, you can find me there. Doing a bunch of fun stuff. You can find me attempting to make a reaction channel, because I tried to upload my reaction to the He-Man series and it kept getting blocked. I don't appreciate that at all. But you could find me there maybe. And then also, like I said, I think you guys can do something that I think would be very good for this organization. I was reading something, and organization was one of the words. You guys could do something good for the world. And you can sign my petition that is launching any minute now for High School Musical getting a 4K trilogy box set. I really hope you guys do that. I will send the link to all of you. I expect you all to sign it and to share it across all platforms. And if you don't, I may or may not judge you. So, and then of course you can find me on any of the channels that I own.
To quote Jordan Peele's new movie, nope.
Yes, you will sign
I
it.
thought you were going to tell him to get out.
Us?
Because it's a
What about us?
You want us to sign this? No, guys. Once again, thank you to everybody. Also, shout out to Nikki Sullivan, who was with us but couldn't stay for the whole show. Thank you to everybody who's here. Thank you to everyone who watched both live and on the post replay. We do appreciate it. Be sure to check out everything else that we have going up on the channel. Tomorrow at noon EST, we have the Supernova Show. All of your geekiest desires and pleasures are discussed there. Specifically, if you're a Harry Potter fan, they get into the Harry Potter series and specifically the adaptation of it, things that were kind of brought over, what was left behind, thoughts on it. It is the host, Colton Roberts, joined by Amaru Moses. So be sure to check that out. On Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST, I believe I have the time correct, live, Matt Beer and Alan Shepard host Cancel This Show. God forbid if politics is your interest and you want to watch a show of two guys desperately trying to cancel a show they produce, be sure to check that out, as they are going live for the fun of it, because there's more stakes in that when they can't control if the stream will stay. With that said, also be on the lookout for Movie Battleground, as was announced in the last week. The show is beginning last Thursday at 4 p.m. EST, which will be our upload time. The first video went up, which revealed how we drew the matches that you guys will see for the first couple of weeks. At the moment, I'm surrounded by 4 competitors who are competing. Malcolm, Jacob, Matt, and Jordan are all competitors in the Battleground, so you guys will see them very soon on videos. To keep you guys updated, next Thursday, we'll have one more kind of buffer video, which will be myself joined by 2 guests, Kevin Poss and Henry Sanchez, again, for just vamping purposes. We draw the tournament seedings. It's very complicated. It's very wordy. You will probably ignore most of it, but it will give you a basis to go back to understand how the tournament seedings work, because it was all randomly drawn, since everyone will either have a 1-0 record or an 0-1 record. So it just made sense to keep it random and have fun with it and draw up random matches. But with that said, the week after is when matches start going up. More will be released on that next week. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys next time on After Dark. Take care.